Hello everybody, this is James Diboe on Discovering Season 4, and this is a special season, and this is basically dedicated to original peoples. And you know, the topic we're going to discuss into it, but this is the Season 4, and this is for original peoples, Discovering Show. And I want to bring out my first guest. He's been on before, Zabdi El.
Yes, sir. All praises to you. Thank you.
Great to have you back. Great to have you back, you know. And today we're going to discuss about Pan-Africanism and original peoples and why these things are important to, you know, understanding that. But we start first on original peoples. We'll start with first. So when we say original peoples, because we talk all the time, you know, what are we referring to as original peoples when we speak on it? So let the audience know who've...
Well, when we talk about original peoples, we're talking about who is the original man.
Who is the original man?
So the original man is what we refer to as the Asiatic black man.
Okay.
Which was the first man that was ever set foot on the earth, and it's the man that all the other races come from.
Yeah.
But even if you study like archaeology and history of and the evolution of man,
yeah,
even the Europeans, they will admit that, you know, that the first people to walk the earth, or the earliest bones, were in Africa. So we're African people.
Yeah.
So that's
Lucy.
all. Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
And even Cheddar Man, like, you know, even the picture that they produced, you know, based on the DNA sequencing, it shows a dark-skinned black man with black hair, brown eyes.
Yeah.
And that was in Britain as well, like
See?
tens of thousands of years ago.
Exactly.
So that's what we refer to the original man as the black man.
Well, definitely I can relate to that totally, where, you know, when I'm going out on these adventures and meeting indigenous peoples, even like in Malaysia, for example, the Orange Asli tribe, first peoples there, black peoples, been there like, claim 40,000 years, could be more. And the name Orange Asli, first peoples or the original peoples. And, you know, that's a title there where, you know, we can relate to it. Anywhere we go, we are the first peoples anywhere.
That's right.
Papua New Guinea, Australia, anywhere. Now, when people hear the term Asiatic black man, because obviously some people may think that, oh, did life begin in Asia? Where I know exactly where you're coming from. Obviously, it was at one time when we have Africa, we extended our borders, if you want to call it that, right into Asia anyway. A lot of the civilizations in Asia come from Africa. So that's just so some people might think, oh, Asiatic black man. Because even myself, when I used to listen to the Wu-Tang Clan,
Yes, yeah.
Chase, you Chase work with Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah, they say that a lot.
They said it a lot. So when you're younger, you're trying to put your own idea of what you think it is. Then through just researching, you start to understand it a bit more. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, the Asiatic black man has been all over Asia, Africa, the whole continent.
Yes.
You know, and as far as the original people, another thing what we want to touch on that is we had discussions about when we call ourselves black. Now, when I say when we call ourselves, what we're being called by the Europeans.
Yes, sir.
And then we can go even further than that. Some people say, well, let's call ourselves Moors, but then that's Latin, so we take off the Latin. So it's all about what comes down to, what did we call ourselves? Because there's titles there, people are called of Libyans before, Ethiopians, Moors, Maurice, Mavro, you just go on forever.
Yeah, so many names, titles.
And what is we call ourselves? Even the name Africa, some people say Scipio Africanus, it's named after. Now, Renaud Rashidi dismissed that, but, you know, I mean, I think it goes much more deeper than that. Dr. Ben said Alkebulan is the name of the continent.
Yes.
And that's the closest name we can find.
Yeah, the earliest, yeah.
The earliest. Yeah. And there's probably names before that. You
of
know,
course there is.
That's it. But, so when we say original people, I think that is definitely something that we came to agreement on, where that's a name we should call ourselves, rather than like the oppressor has called us that. And with the word black anyway, it's in his dictionary, which is negative. So straight away when we subscribe on pen, you know, sign and stuff as black British, black Caribbean or black African, this is the title that has been given to us. So maybe we could speak a little bit on original people as to call ourselves that. And just so some people can understand of like, why would we not call ourselves black and call ourselves original people?
Okay, well, to answer that, I just got to go back a few steps to the Asiatic black man.
Okay.
Now, we call ourselves the Asiatic black man, but more we call ourselves original people. But just in regards to Asiatic black man, just if I can just clarify that for a second.
Yeah.
We believe that once upon a time, the whole world was called Asia.
Okay.
Yeah, not just that part of the world that they call Asia now.
Right.
And there's a difference between Asian and Asiatic.
Oh yeah, of course.
So when we say Asiatic black man, what we mean is like the black man that he at that time he dominated the whole world.
Yeah.
So not just Asia, not just Africa, no, what they call Latin America, no, Australia, the Pacific Islands, even Europe. So
Yeah.
we dominated the whole planet that time. So that's what we mean by the Asiatic black man.
Right.
But in regards to original peoples, like Master Prophet Muhammad taught us that the original man is the black man. So that's why we call ourselves the original people, the original man, because from all other peoples came from.
Yeah. So seeing like when you talk about Lucy in ancient
Yes.
in Africa 2 point something million years
Yes.
ago. Now they deal with that as a woman, a female. And a lot of the ancient Africans anyway, you know, where they've looked at the universe kind of from a perspective of feminine energy. What I mean by that is like, you know, like when a woman has cycles or it takes so long, 9 months to have a baby, it's the process to get there from there to there. And the same with that one time the universe. But obviously we understand the yin and the yang and the laws of nature, the opposites, you know, but like sometimes the female gets left out sometimes, the black female.
Yes, often, yes.
Yes. And that's why I've got to raise it up to the higher self. You know,
Yes, sir.
most definitely. So with Lucy, because I was listening to a brother I was playing the other day, Wesley Muhammad.
Yeah, Dr. Wesley Muhammad.
Dr.
Yes.
Wesley Muhammad, yeah. And when I was watching him, and he mentioned about, you know, he brought up Lucy. Now he said, he made a good point. He mentioned about the Y chromosome. Females don't carry the Y chromosome. So he was saying, well, he believes that the black man is the oldest due to, especially with them not carrying the Y chromosome. He was asking why does man you can trace further back with a Y chromosome, which kind of made sense, but I wouldn't dispute it anyway because we know a black man need a black female in the beginning anyway, you know, so we could continue on that. Or anything else you want to add?
Yeah, well, in regards to what you were talking about, you know, the gestation period of a baby in a woman's womb, the most Elijah Muhammad teaches us that if you look at the universe as a womb itself, because up there it's dark, it's vast, and stars are born in the universe. Yeah. So, and we relate it to you know, a baby being born, because a baby being born, it takes you know, 3 trimesters, it takes 3 months.
Yeah.
I don't want to go too deep into it because I can, but we believe that the black man, like people will say, oh well, if you're the original man, where did you come from? So the most Elijah taught us that the black man is self-created, like we were self-created up in the universe. But I don't want to go too deep into it. But so when you talk about this, we call it the sacred feminine. Yeah. Because in English, like you just got words, but in Latin, in Arabic, in many African languages, you've got masculine and feminine words.
That's right. Yeah.
Now, if you look at the word like Syria, like any country is a feminine word, like Syria or Arabia or China or Nigeria, anything that ends with ah. That's feminine. Now, if you look at the word Allah, Allah, that's a feminine word. So, and we believe Allah is God. So, but we believe that like Minister Farrakhan teaches us that the black woman is the second self of God, meaning that there's nothing like, if you want to look for God, just look at the black woman. You understand me?
Yeah.
And also, Messenger Muhammad, peace be upon him, he said that it's forbidden to bow down to any human being. But if you was to bow down to a human being, this is the Prophet Muhammad speaking, you'd have to bow down to your mothers, because the woman herself, like, you know, she gives milk, she gives loving, she produced you. So she's like a manifestation of God anyway.
Definitely Mother Earth.
Yes, man.
Yeah,
no, I'm saying so it's exactly,
Yeah.
and they call the Earth Mother, and they call nature Mother. They call it. They even call the Moon Mother. So you're right, man. The woman is not given the credit that she deserves. Like, we talk a lot about the black man. The black man is God, the original man, the black man, but we don't talk about the black woman.
Don't raise them up enough.
We don't.
And that's a like here. You know, it's just like today how people are. We were talking about respect before. how we respect our parents. You know, you only have one. You know, you only have one parents, don't you? You know, and
That's right.
it seems in this Western world that we're in that people don't have that same respect. You know, as if you, even me today, you could go into a village that's not like being contaminated with outsiders, and you'll see the models, the respect. You know, and they have different roles for the ages, different roles for the female, different role for the male, and it's not sexism. It's just this is the role that we all fit in, and we got to play as part of nature. Nature pretty much chose them roles. It's not even dictatorship. Nature don't dictate. You know, you have to follow and flow with it, isn't it? And as far when we were dealing with the original people anyway, we can go before there, like you were saying before. You know, like we were known to always being here, or when they say here, it could be another place, but we weren't in this physical. So dealing on the spiritual. So when you say Elijah Muhammad, you say the black man's 66 trillion years old. Now we could also be dealing with the spiritual world within that 66 trillion years. Would you agree with that? Would you? You know, like where you deem the physical.
Yes, of course, because if you look at me now, like you can see me, like in the flesh I am today.
That's right.
But also like there's a different realm. You understand me? That not everyone can see.
Yeah.
So that's why when someone dies, like in the West, they say when you die, that's the end of it. But in Africa and in our culture, we believe that, you know, like because if you look at my neck, I've got a birthmark on my neck. Okay. And when I was born, my mother and father, they named it. Part of my name is Uchechi, because like they believe that you know, one of my ancient grandparents had the same mark on his neck.
Yeah.
So some people believe that like he's returned.
Okay.
You understand me?
Yeah.
But like in some cultures, they think that's silly. But in many cultures, we believe that I'm not talking about in reincarnation, but I'm just talking that there's a connection to the ancestor. Because if you look at me today, I'm 3-dimensional.
Yeah, that's right.
Like I'm a version of myself today, of me, Zabdi El. But I'm also like part of me is my parents, and then part of me also is my great grandparents, and also in me there's a seed that can produce a son that can be the future. So I'm 3-dimensional. I'm past, present, and future.
That's right.
You understand?
Yeah.
But many people don't understand that.
It's too deep for them.
Like, it's way too deep. And even me talking like this little talk I'm doing,
scratching the surface on it.
Exactly. But I don't want to go too deep into it.
We normally go back and forth all the time, and like some of the stuff that we spoke on, like, you know, it's beyond, isn't it? You know, but I like that talk. I don't like small talk. You know what I mean? I'm about discovering. You know what I'm saying? So we got to go much more deeper. And you know, at the end of the day, we're trying to teach in a way for people to get it. Because sometimes it's about how you teach. Because I find like if we go to school and we're being taught from a European perspective about black history in any way, well, there's no connection. We can't relate. Okay, you might have read some documents from wherever he's learned, but it's not the same. We have to be teaching our own history, you know, because where do we, like, you know, they don't allow us to teach their history, you know. I mean, and you can't teach it in the way, you have to teach it in their way if you do teach it.
Yeah.
You know, that's one thing. If you wanted to teach history for, you know, a lot of people doing like King Henry VIII or whatever the research, but that's going to be told exactly how the European wants it told, isn't it? So we need to do the same, speak on our truth rather than let someone else do it. We haven't got enough researchers, and this is the big problem. You know, I mean, we lost Renoka Rashidi. You know, he's definitely massive inspiration, and
sir.
Even when he was going to India, which we both was talking about last time, got banned from India.
Yeah.
He went there about 3 times. He was getting close with the Dalits and Dravidians and peoples like that. And then they just erased him. He said, don't ever come back to this country.
Yeah, it's true.
But, you know, that's why I made up come across a man like Renoka Rashidi. Yeah. You know, he was a giant. I needed a giant to really be inspired by.
Yes, sir.
You know, no lightweights and that, you know.
Yeah.
And also with Renoka Rashidi, you know, you've obviously looked at stuff for yourself of him. You know what he's about, original people.
Yes.
And no one's really took the global African presence to the level he's took it to, you know. And also we got many. We can go on forever. Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark,
Yes, so many.
Shaker Diop.
Yes, check on to Diop.
You know
J.A.
what?
Rogers,
J. Rogers,
Chancellor Williams.
So
Dr. Ivan Van Sertima.
Van Sertima.
So many scholars, man.
You know,
Serious,
you need
studious scholars.
And see, by knowing these names, I love to always shout these names out, because people, these are the names who paved the way, and people have to know this. You know, whether it was they were born in there. Chancellor Williams was born 1893, died 1992. Imagine that era he went through.
Yeah,
he lived to about 98, 99, and he was his father. I'm sure his father was a freed slave. So
wow.
to see that era. Ain't no one going to be as wise as that. And when he wrote the book, Destruction of the Black Civilization, from 4,500 BC to 2000 AD, he'd already passed before 2000 AD. He passed 1992. So he's already writing about something where he can see where it's going. And even like today, within 2021, his book is on point.
Yes, it is.
You know,
yeah.
I couldn't, and we have to pay homage to our peoples, and all the greats. Majority of the greats are past. The new ones now, they can only take off the greats and try to add on, isn't it? You know, so I mean, so what do you think on, like, well, say we're going back to the spiritual realm. I mean, we can touch on it a little bit. We've got time anyway. Don't have to go super deep, but in the spiritual realm, according to Elijah Muhammad. How long does he say, like, we were in the spiritual realm, or has he got like a date to when we came to earth before the spiritual realm? Is the
well, in regards to the Most Honourable Elijah Muhammad and the teachings of Islam, is we believe that at one time, what you call the moon and the earth, they were connected. That's why today, if you look at the moon, it doesn't have no water on it. But if you look at it in detail, it has craters on it. So we believe, and we were taught that at one time it had a lot of water on it, and that's why today in the moon it misses the earth, and that's why it tries to draw the water back. It pulls nowhere, because even if they will teach you that the tides are there because of the pull of the moon.
Yeah.
So we believe that the moon is trying to pull, because it misses its water. It's trying to pull it back, but it can't because it's so far away. But we believe, I don't want to go too deep into the story, but we believe that the moon and the earth were connected, and the original people lived on both. You understand me? But more on the moon. And then they were separated by a huge explosion around 50,000 years ago. And then a man called Shabazz, he came down to onto this earth, and ended up in Africa. And in Africa, the people at that time, they were black people, but the hair was straight. They say that's why today every black person you see, the eyebrows.
Yeah.
It's even though we got curly hair and curly beards.
Yeah.
And bushy beards, and our eyebrows are still straight.
Yeah.
So that's an indication of how our hair used to be. But it's an intricate, deep story. But over a period of time, we changed. Our physical makeup changed because of the environment that we were living in.
Of course, yeah.
So so that's part of the history of the original man. But that's just 10, 50, 40,000 years ago. Before that, you're talking trillions of years as far as we're concerned, because the original man really, and even when we say 66 trillion years, the original man really don't have a birth date.
That's right, yeah.
Don't have a birth date.
That's right.
He don't have a birth date. Like the European, what we call a Caucasian today, a white man, that's, if you study his history, it only goes back 4, 5, 6, 7, no more than 6,000 years.
I can't find anything before
no
that.
more than 6,000 years.
Yep.
But the original people, you understand me?
We can go.
We do not have a birth date.
We just know that we the original people.
Yes.
And I'm definitely, I think that's a wise thing to say. Don't put a date on us, because the date can be wrong.
Exactly.
We're going that far back. Then, if we go beyond there before that, isn't it?
Exactly.
The spiritual realm.
Exactly.
How long we were there for. And, and then back to when you were saying about the ancestors, when you're talking about your birthmark, like, when I was Professor James Smalls, and he was explaining some of the Yoruba traditions, and sometimes when they're holding a baby when it's just born, where they're outdoor, I'm talking about where you could be in like a forest or whatever village, and he was saying, like, well, who's come back?
Yes.
Which ancestors come back? Who don't come back? It could have been that grandfather, the great grandfather. Could have.
Yes,
We can go. We don't even know how far. We go back to even figure who it is.
Because we're interconnected.
We're interconnected, yeah. And the same with like when you said about the moon and the sun was interconnected.
Yes.
This is facts anyway, because we see everything coming from the one source. So when we say Africa, the source of the knowledge, you know, we're just dealing with the physical realm. That's what we're dealing. And then before that, you know, we're infinite people, soul travelers, go anywhere.
Of course, yeah, of course.
Even like through astronomy, when our ancestors were studying astronomy, and you know, the working out, like, I mean, even when I spoke to you about the age of God, Allah, and you was telling me, well, I'll let you give me the answer. What is 1 year to Allah? Is it, or is it, how many years Allah to humans on the earth?
Yes, no, it's like a day to Allah, a day.
Yeah,
it's like 50,000 years to us on earth.
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
Because you know time, like, you know, 24 hours, 60 seconds in a minute, you know, and all. It's man-made.
It's man-made. Yeah.
We just make it so we can just encapsulate certain in segments of time, but time really, it's man-made. It's like, even if you ask someone the date in England, they'll tell you it's December 26th. But if you go to Ethiopia or go to China or India or Israel, they got different years, they got different dates, they got different months. Definitely. You go to Arabia, so time is not solid. Time is based on where you are and location, and that's just people.
Yeah,
you understand me? Like, but when you look at Allah, because if people have got different times and different dates, and different understands of what time is and what time means.
Yeah.
Even the year 2000 or 2021, that's all made up.
Yeah.
Because Islamically, the date is 1442. Islamically, it's not 2021. But if you tell that to most people, they won't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So time depends on who you are and who you ask. So time to God, to Allah, is completely different.
Well, there's a lot of things there. Some people believe that, well, during the BC to AD, that the Romans have like took like 700 years, like 700 years went missing or something, which would have made like Carthage, which about 150, 200 BC, link up with 711 Moors that were going into Spain and these areas. So as if like that was one period, which you'd never know. But like what you got to question is, why did all these other places have different dates? You know,
because people got different understandings of time.
Exactly.
But there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, of course.
There's nothing wrong with that, because people understand things differently.
Yeah.
So like even if you give like a Bible verse or a Quranic verse or a Talmudic Hebrew verse to 10 people, they're going to have 10 different understandings, because people are different. They got different background, different upbringings. Their brains work differently. They see things differently, so they're going to understand things differently. And
even like I'll be talking about like a lot of the books that are being burnt down with old manuscripts in them, Timbuktu. You know, you were talking before about the Library of Alexandria. You know, so a lot of things like as much as things are being destroyed, it's still surviving places.
Yes, it is.
And that's the beauty of things. But you've got to go and look for it, isn't it?
The truth is out there. Yes.
You know, some people don't like going and researching and getting up and going looking for stuff, but you got to find it. It's there.
That's the only way. It's the only way. It's like, I'm a boxer. If you want to be a world champion, there's only one way to do it.
That's right.
You have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. You got to do your runs, do your skipping, your press ups. You got to train. You got to spar. You got to study the great fighters. You got to listen to your coach. You got to eat the right meals. You got to control your weight. You've got this. That's the only way to do
discipline. Pure discipline.
And you've got to be dedicated, and you've got to be selfish. You got to be focused on it.
Oh, definitely.
That's why if you look at the great fights like Ali, like Floyd, Sugar Ray, Marciano, that was their whole life. Sometimes it would affect their marriage.
Yeah, you're right there.
But
definitely,
they were serious. So if you want to be a student or scholar of so-called black history, you've got to be focused, man. 110%. You've got to be.
Yeah, that's it.
And you got to go out there, because they won't come to you.
No.
You got to go and get the knowledge.
That's it. I don't think we go a day without researching. There's always something. There's always something to research every day.
And you have to go out, like, even into, like, sometimes the other side of the world to get it.
Definitely.
Because you can't get everything on Google.
Exactly.
Or Yahoo. Or in the local library.
Exactly. And it's also connecting to these people about visit spiritually. I mentioned this last time, where it's all good going in to visit some of these people in the rainforest, indigenous peoples, But you can't connect spiritually to these. It's not the same. I've watched tourists go on them because I done like one tour one time. I didn't do them after that. I just wanted to take myself there or hire the car. But when I got to see, I'm happy I did see the tour to see how it goes down. And I noticed that the tour guy, he lied and said that these people on Yazdi tribe came from Papua New Guinea 200 years ago. And I was like, whoa, I'm going to say, I've already done this research. The grandmasters have done this research.
Yeah, so you knew the truth.
Yeah, so who are you? You know what I mean? So I was speaking to some photographer out there, and he had pure like knowledge. He was all deep into Lemuria. He was talking about when Southeast Asia, you know, like the way you've got Indonesia and these islands are all like thousands of different islands. Saying at one time they were through catastrophes, they were linked through the Pacific Islands and all that. It was called Lemuria or Mu. So he was going into like all deepness, and like he was saying about they just hire these people. They just hire these people just to talk. You know, like they'll give misinformation, and that's what they'll do. But they're no experts, so really it's good that like we were clued up, and then I had to like speak to somebody, even the tourists, and tell them this information is giving you false. You know, I told them where to even look because we didn't have Wi-Fi at that time within the jungle. So I'd give a lot of people information. Check out the Yazdi tribe, 40,000 years ago at least. Could be longer. We don't know. And I always say that when I look at, I read the scientist says, he says like about the Yazdi, he'll say about 40,000 years. But I won't take that word 40,000 years literally. It could be another date, just like we were saying. We don't know how far we go back. You know, when the lands were one Pangaea, where the people, and we've got to take someone's word that there was no one on this planet when it was Pangaea. You know, this is where we're getting robbed of time again and our history. You know, we've always been on this planet. At the time, it was all one. Yes. And it makes sense. It actually would make more sense for the Creator to put us on the planet while it's all one. It's easier to move about more, you know. Then why does everyone have these creation stories about flood myths as well? You know, look at the Madagascar, off the east coast of Africa, the biggest island of it. And one time they said that connected to India, where Sri Lanka is, and connected to Australia. Even Ranoka Rashidi touched a little on this. And he's a serious scholar, and he even said himself, I don't really like to come outside of a scholarship, but it sounded too fascinating and questionable to mention this. I think it was, the continent might have been, I don't want to just guess it, begin with a K. Kuramadi or something like that. But you can believe that there was a lot of all the lands were connected one time, but why do we have to, he wants to take us back to millions and years ago before we were here, that these continents broke up. You know, and this goes back to like, well, you spoke about Lemuria before, Atlantis.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about them.
I mean,
but I'm not sure if they are they facts or are they hypotheticals though.
Maybe a missing continent is what we're, because things are just sinking all the time, aren't they?
Yes, yeah.
And then sometimes new islands are popping up.
Yes, all the time.
Volcanic
all
islands
the time,
and that.
yeah.
So, I mean, not to go into the biblical side of it, I don't go there. But I always try to think of, well, what are these talking about? Did a continent exist as well under the ocean, the Indian Ocean, well, the African Ocean?
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
yeah,
that's another thing of original people need to clarify.
Exactly.
You know, because India's here, you got Australia there, continent, then you got the big continent, Africa. Why would it be called the Indian Ocean?
Exactly.
You know,
and you got the Arabian Sea, got the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their own.
Yeah.
Even the channel.
Yeah.
The English Channel. But Africa, the biggest continent with all the people on it, all surrounded by 4 or 5 different bodies of water, and nothing's named after it.
Exactly.
But I was told by a Moorish brother that the Atlantic Ocean, at one time that was called the Ethiopian Ocean.
Yeah, that's it. Now with the word Ethiopian Ocean, this is a Greek word, what we're dealing with Ethiopia. So I think at the time, the Greeks, because they knew how much power Africa had at that time, before they invaded, that they would have no problem with calling it that. Because of, look at Herodotus.
Yeah.
He goes back to about 500 BC or something like that. And he talked good about Africa, especially like Egypt. You know, he was talking about connections to other parts of the world Africans had. Yeah,
because the ancient Greeks, they got so much benefits from Egypt at that time. So there's no reason. And also, racism that we know today, it's a modern thing.
It is.
If you go back thousands of years ago, Europeans were not the way they are today towards black African people.
Yeah.
Because, you know, nations rise and fall.
Yeah.
So at that time, the so-called black nations were on the up and up. Like, we used to dominate, we used to control. And so-called European nations were underneath. And they were and they used to come to Africa to learn. So the Greeks used to come there and sit at the foot of people like Imhotep and learn so many things, know all the sciences. So when they wrote about African people and Egyptian people and Kemetic people and Kushite people, it was always in glowing terms, always respectfully.
Definitely.
Because they were students. They were clients coming to you, so you understand?
Yeah.
So nowadays it's different, but so people have to remember that as well.
That's right, And well, because it's when they invade, then they start to change things then, isn't it? But before that, you know, it's like even ancient America. When Columbus has got there, even though people had already studied it before he got there, and it was already there, of course.
Exactly.
But he's wrote in some of the stuff about seeing black people there, you know, and so it's not like, well, who showed him how to get there? We had the Moorish navigators
on the ship with Columbus. He
wouldn't have got there.
He wouldn't have got there. He wouldn't have got there.
And even the story where they made out, he thought he was going to India. They knew he weren't going to India.
Of course not.
According to Dr. John Hendrik Clark, he double-crossed Isabella. Isabella thought he was going to India, and it was a lie to go to America. They knew where they were going to. So that's according to Dr. John Hendrik Clark.
But in Columbus, he never even got to what's called America. He got to the Caribbean islands. It's only those that came after Columbus.
Yeah.
They hit the mainland.
So even his 4 voyages didn't even get to America.
So when he's saying he saw black peoples, that was in the Caribbean long before the transatlantic slavery.
That's right. Cuba or around Santa Maria. Yeah, that's right. So it's just this is what I'm saying. People don't even know the history. It's where you live in. Doesn't matter what part of the world. You know what I mean? It's only people like you are serious about like knowing how important it is. You know. And it's a shame, really, because look at, the African continent now, as we're dependent a lot on other peoples, which that was never us in ancient times. Everyone depended on us, and they still do depend on us.
Yeah, they do.
But we can't see that in ways.
No, we can't.
And it goes back to even like, look at our businesses. We don't, especially in Liverpool, you got out of this place a long time ago, isn't it? And
I'm always coming back though.
Yeah. Well, what I mean is like it's the opportunity when you've gone elsewhere. You you can go and eat some good food, even in a restaurant. It's hard to find like any. Everything's.
It's true.
Just even like black-owned stores, black-owned anything.
Yeah.
Don't you see black people working in banks here?
No, you don't.
So this is why I can see like a lot of people end up getting off. And it's not about a case of, looking down at Liverpool. It ain't even about that. It's just we've got to face realities, and we're struggling to just have anything going on in this city. How would you say it is down by where Luton?
Yeah. Well, I've been in Luton about 4 years, man. But that's just north of London. I'm in London a lot though. But in Liverpool, it's a very strange city because years ago, like in the 80s and that, all the bin men were black. All the nurses were black. All the porters in the hospital were black. Because back then it was, all the bus drivers were black. Because back then it was unskilled, it was low paying jobs. But nowadays, to be a bin man's big money, good money. It's very good money. To be a porter is good money. Because it's all unionized. So, and it's all council controlled. So you got good pension. So nowadays it's not black anymore.
Yeah.
So it shows though, like when these jobs are unskilled and low paid, then okay, you can have them. But when they start to improve the jobs and prospects and start to pay them more, then we don't have them anymore. But also, black people in Liverpool, there's that not really unified like they used to be. In the 70s, in the 80s, in the 60s, in the 50s. Because it's a different experience. Like, when our grandparents and our parents came here, like, racism was open. You used to have the signs in the houses, no blacks, no dogs, no Irish. So you knew who the enemy was. But nowadays, though, it's a lot different. even though it's still racist, it's more it's more covert. So people don't feel the need to band together and start something black hole and black head. So even though I believe it's more important now to do it than it was then. But many people don't see it because nowadays you can go to any part of Liverpool almost. You can get a white girl brazenly, openly walk the street. Nobody will say nothing to your face. Like no one will call you nigger to your face. To your face. People feel like, it's not as bad, but it is though.
Yeah. Well, that's it. People, it's cause words. I mean, words are just words. You know what I'm saying? So it's what's down on paper. You know what I mean? Like new bills they're gonna pass. Even like one is seen about if you got dual citizenship. Like it's always fine an attack, and it's like an attack on people just who have an identity. Because it's good to have dual citizenship. I'm trying to get that myself. But
they're trying to use it against you now.
Yeah, use it against you though.
You see?
Yeah, so that's important though. Have a passport back home, and it's because loads of people in this city, I don't see too much of a connection to. Even the Caribbean, some of them don't even have a connection. Never mind even Africa. So I mean, would you say where you're from down Luton was a majority of people there? Would you say Caribbean background or African?
Down there, it's a lot of Africans there, a lot of Asians there, Bengalis, Pakistanis, Indians, a lot of Africans. So it's heavily mixed. A lot of Polish, Romanians, Lithuanians, Bosnians, Albanians. So a lot of different people. But many of those people, they've still retained their culture, their community spirit. Right, they still work together because if you're Albanian, even though you're white skinned, like the English people are not gonna. You understand me?
Yeah. They see the Albanian difference, even though they have the same skin color.
So because of that, so because of that, like covert and overt racism towards them, they'll band together and they'll work together. You understand me? Whereas us, and we've been here a lot longer. You understand me? And also, it comes down to parents. If your parents don't teach you who you are and your place in society, your place in the world, you understand me? And you don't have an understanding of who you are and what you are. You understand me? Then you're not going to grow up with any kind of connection to Africa. So if you grow up with like a European name, you only speak European, you only speak English. You celebrate all these European holidays. They don't teach you nothing about African culture. Of course, not. And then you go to school. The school don't teach you nothing anyway. You watch TV. TV don't teach you nothing. You listen to music. You don't. So you don't get no knowledge of who you are anyway. So naturally, you're gonna grow up. With no connection to Africa. Whereas Bengalis, even though they're born here, they speak Bengali at home. They eat Bengali food. They wear Bengali clothes. So they stick together. So they've got that culture. Yemenis, Somalis, Ethiopians, Eritreans. So they've all got that culture that they still, even though we're all born here in the same city, same borough, they still retained that culture. But many Caribbean and other African peoples don't keep that because we think, we're here. We got to integrate fully.
But then when you
exactly, then you get lost and your children, and then 20 years later you're crying, I've lost my son, I've lost my daughter to the world. Because so it's important to retain because you can still know who you are and still be a good citizen at the same time.
Yeah. Of course, that's right.
You can still be. You can still know who you are because it's been proven.
And at the same time, it's good to be equipped with that knowledge when people say ignorant things, and then you can challenge them to it. But if you ain't got that knowledge equipped, people can just tell you, all you was with slaves.
Exactly.
Because you've done no research yourself. But what would you say, like, I mean, just to go a little bit further with it, say people, because we've had these kind of discussions before where the reason why we have to kind of teach what we're teaching African history is because it hasn't been equipped in people's homes, unfortunately. I mean, what advice would you give to anybody black people who would like to learn the culture, but they don't know where to get the access that the parents didn't teach them it? Just what advice could you give to them? Because they've had like a different upbringing than you or me. I got told from young, you got told from young, but not everyone.
No, they don't.
And this is something I've noticed in Liverpool from a kid. I didn't get onto it late. I mean, I got onto it like as you're getting older, 7, 8, 9. I've got a Nigerian surname, or the brothers had English surnames. So I already knew there was little differences from when I'm growing up anyway by our surnames. and your name, you know, that's very important. The meaning, you know, we have meanings to that. Where someone called, you know, we could just make up any English name, isn't it? You know, I don't know the meanings behind them. I don't even know if they do either. Do you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. They don't have meanings.
Yeah. So these are,
but they do have meanings, because names, like in the Nation of Islam, we believe that a name is everything. So you look, you're in slavery. When they took someone, the very first thing they did was take your name and give you another name. You've watched Roots. You know Kunta Kinte.
Went there in Gambia.
Yeah. He was a prince.
Yeah.
His name was Kunta Kinte. And they took it off him and called him Toby. Because they understand that a name, it connects you to your culture, to your tribe, to your family, to your identity, to your religion, to your area, to Africa, to who you are. So they know if they break... So when you're a slave, you have to break that connection. If you're a slave master, sorry, you got to break that connection. So they took the name off them. That's why in the Nation of Islam, when you become a Muslim and you join the Nation of Islam, and you've got a European, we call it a slave name. They take it and give you an X. As you know, the X in mathematics means unknown. And then after time, the X change, they'll give you an original name, for an African name from your ancestors. You understand me? Because the name, it means everything. That's why I tell my friends, I tell people all the time, when you're having babies, you don't give your baby a name like Chardonnay or Remy, or you know, all these silly names that don't, or Mercedes, don't mean anything, because they don't mean nothing. You got to give them a name. A name, it means everything.
That's right. It is.
It's power.
Yeah, it is power. When you call that name,
it's power.
The vibration behind the name, the meaning of the words.
It means even God. Like, you know the name God, that's not a good name for the Almighty. If you spell it backwards, it spells dog.
Yeah.
It's not a good name.
Yeah.
But the reason why they teach us to call it God is so when you call on it, like if your name's James Diboe and I call you Charles Smith, you're not going to respond to me, because that's not your name.
That's right.
So or if you see a dog and the dog's called Benji and I'm calling the dog Sammy, the dog won't come to me, because that's not his name.
Yeah.
So the same thing with God. And the Almighty, the Creator, you got to call him on the right name. That's what the book said. If my people who are named after me call me by my name, then I will hear their prayer. But when you're calling on the wrong name, there won't be no response. You understand?
That's right. Yeah. Well, you know, it's getting back to its meanings. Everything from ancient times, you know, everything had its purpose, and that's just a part of nature. But people these days are not responding to nature.
No, they're not.
People are lost. People, I mean, even good people are lost. I mean, this is the funny thing. It's, you know, people don't even realize even look at our health, for example. That's why I like speaking to Abraham Ojapa, Yamtree.
Yeah.
You know, shout out to him and that man, and all the rest of the Pan African group. You know, yeah. So I like the way he's invested into himself and his culture. I like to see. It's like Michelle Walker. I see she does. She's invested into herself.
Yes.
The cards. It's not pictures of Europeans on there. It's Africans. And so when you invest into yourself, our culture, and your economics is wrapped into it, that's always seemed like a strong win. Where if you see the Chinese, for example, a lot of what they do, their economics are wrapped into the culture, isn't it?
Yes.
Same with Indians, Arabs, and you know. And I think that's very important. If you can do something where you're successful because of you're bringing something from your culture in, you know, that's what it's about. When we need to be in numbers doing that, though. There's only a few of us who might have, one person might have a little African shop, or the other one have a little Jamaican shop, but these are just little fragments of the bigger picture, which and that's why I always wonder, like, could I ever just go out and just live in another place? And I wonder about living in Africa, Gambia, Nigeria, Rwanda, speaking to Raz Congo, just how we get up and just go there, being there for years. And that's what it's about. It's like something that told me, you know what, I'm getting out of here. And it's a big step for anyone to make a move. Even just a step sometimes, just to leave this city.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
you know, some things ain't easy. They feel, I'm going to leave me family, leave me friends, and what they know. But it is a big step, especially to go to Africa, you know. So salute to anyone who gets up and make that step for the better of our people, you know. It is. Yeah, anything else anyway you want to add on anyway?
No, I'm just it's just that you were saying it's a big step, but like when you talk about Africa, we call it home. So if Africa's home,
Yeah.
why is it a big step to go home?
To some people, I'm saying some people like it's the disconnection with most of us. Why some people wouldn't go for Africa for the holiday. That's one thing to say, to go and live. Some of them people have asked people to come at times, and they worry about insects, worry about vaccinations, or worry about this one, what am I going to need, but that's just. But you go there, and it's just like the most beautiful place I've ever been.
It's better than here in every way. But the reason why people are afraid to go is because of BBC, ITV,
definitely.
CNN, ABC, Fox News, Sky News. Because when you grow up, all you see is war, famine, disease, animals, jungles, negative. So that's why.
It's like you've been in Namibia, you were saying last time, isn't it?
I've been in Namibia.
And do they have a savannah there? Is it? Yeah. Well, it's like in Kenya, when I went to Kenya. Savannah, that ain't no jungle.
Exactly.
Oh my God, it's vast, beautiful grasslands, and it just goes on forever. And just to even be, if you lived in that area where Maasai tribes are, and your consciousness must just be at the highest, to just be amongst that savannah, a spectacular view. Just even when you're looking up at the stars. We done some safaris there. We were going out at night time, we were going out in the morning, and the views were just spectacular.
Of course, beautiful.
I've never been nowhere in the world that is like Africa.
No, nowhere.
And I've been some nice places, but nothing can compare to Africa. The food, oh my God, West African food. And I've tasted East African food, it's okay and that, but West is the best. It is.
Yes, sir.
And then you look at the people from Jamaica or Trinidad, they're mainly from West Africa, isn't it? And these are the good cooks as well, Caribbean, you can see it passed on, because, one thing as well, see, we're always quick to eat in other people's restaurants. Not saying you can eat where you want, go to Indian restaurant, go to Chinese, go whatever, you know what I'm saying, but ain't no one cooks chicken better than black people. We're always searching for other people's food, but ain't no one cooks chicken, again, I'll say it, better than black people. Original people. Of
course, man, of course. Original people.
So
who's better than the original?
That's it. It's like a copy, and you have an original.
Yeah.
What you want, if I'm going to give you the copy. Or
original always.
Yeah.
Always.
It is, and if even from the beginning, the original man, original woman, dark-skinned people, of course, because nature decided that, through God, because you're going to burn your ass in Ethiopia, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. And it might not even be Ethiopia. That's what we got told, Ethiopia. I understand Ethiopia, the Garden of Eden, according to the Bible, to some people's. But we could be anywhere in Africa. They're just digging up. It's all about digging. What are you going to find next? Modern man, when they said Ethiopia, 200,000 years ago. Even though they said Lucy came from Ethiopia, like 2 point something, but they don't deal with that as a modern human. So I'm just starting from modern humans. Then they said Morocco, 300,000 years, they found older fossils. So where are they going to next?
Exactly. But you have to remember, though, that when they say Africa, originally encapsulates and includes what's called Arabia, what's called Yemen, what's called Palestine, what's called Jerusalem, even as far as Lebanon, all the way up, all that's Africa.
That's right.
Madagascar's Africa.
Even that river in Iraq, there's a part where the
Euphrates.
Yeah. So just before you cross the river, I remember Dr. Clark saying that was considered up to Africa, where you just said.
Yes.
Then when you cross that river, they said our enemies came from that way. So it's all about who is writing the history, isn't it?
That's all it's about.
That's all it's about, isn't it? We need more of us out there fact checking, researching, do what it takes. If you have to travel, if you have to read hundreds of books, however you're going to get that information, go for it. It's all worthwhile, and it's a spiritual thing as well. We must get back to our true spirit,
our true self.
Our true self, because that's what we are really. We are spiritual beings. Yes. This is just a temporary little thing, isn't it?
A physical body.
It's just a physical body. It's nothing. You know what I mean? So
it comes and goes.
It comes and goes, and that's it.
But the spirit lives on.
The spirit lives on, and energy cannot be destroyed. I don't believe in death. Death scares people. And unfortunately, but it just goes beyond. And who knows where we go next, man? But it's been an excellent talk, this anyway. And we're going to finish off today on the special you know, for original people, but this is part of the Discovering Season 4, but we're highlighting original people because it's very, very important. You know, wherever we look in the world, doesn't matter, you find us there first.
Yes, sir.
You know, so anyway, Zabdi, I salute you, you know.
All praise to
and I'm definitely happy to have you back on Discovering anyway.
Thank you, brother.
Peace out, brother.
Yes.